Look, Mama, there's fire everywhere. Just imagine hearing that from a child, not looking at a cozy campfire, but, at a news screen. Images flickering, global conflict, social division, maybe environmental stuff, even local tragedies.
It's a really powerful image, isn't it? It captures that feeling so many people have right now, that sense of chaos, of challenge, just everywhere.
Exactly. And it really makes you ask, right, in times like these, times that feel so overwhelming, how do we even find moments of hope? How do we nurture growth? And maybe most importantly, how do we find joy? Joy in connecting with others by sharing what we know, what we actually care about.
That feeling, that fire everywhere sense, it's a tough reality people are navigating. And it forces this difficult internal, reckoning, doesn't it? Especially if you're someone others look to for guidance or knowledge.
Yeah.
The impulse might be, like one perspective we looked at to describe it, it's just lie down and crumble.
Yeah.
Under the weight of it all. It feels incredibly hard, almost impossible sometimes, to create that safe, caring space for someone else when you feel so fragile yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. And yet, and this is the fascinating part, the same sources that talk about this deep challenge, they also talk about this undeniable imperative, a really human drive, maybe like what a parent feels. You can't just crumble.
Right.
You have to find a way somehow to keep hoping, keep moving forward, especially when you're guiding someone else's growth. And that right there, that's what brings us to this deep dive today. We're exploring the profound act of sharing your knowledge, your passion with another person. We've pulled together insights from different angles. Those very real personal reflections from people, educators included, who are navigating these tough environments day to day.
And also some significant research, really fascinating studies looking into the wide-ranging impacts of learning, impacts that often go way beyond what we usually think about.
Exactly. So our mission today is to unpack why. Why this act, this seemingly simple thing of teaching or sharing what you love, why it isn't just about, transferring facts.
It's so much more. It's about sparking deep, meaningful, truly transformative growth in the person you're sharing with. And here's the core idea we want to explore. In doing that and facilitating that powerful growth in others, you actually find this unique, really potent source of joy for yourself.
So we're going to dive into the tangible benefits, what actually happens for the learner. We're talking benefits touching their psychological well-being, their social connections, even their physical health, and their motivation to keep learning.
Then we'll connect that loop back. How does seeing and helping those incredible, often profound changes happen in someone else's life? How does that become this incredibly rewarding, enriching, deeply joyful experience for you, the person doing the sharing?
Okay, so let's start by unpacking that context you mentioned, that difficult backdrop. We begin with that image, the child pointing at the screen, the chaos, the conflict. It reflects a reality where it really is challenging just to get up in the morning and create that needed space, that safe harbor for learners, especially young ones, when they're absorbing so much distress from the world. It sounds utterly draining, doesn't it? That phrase, wanting to lie down and crumble, it's such a visceral human response to pervasive difficulty.
It really is.
But as you said, the sources emphasize that even with that feeling, there's this persistent drive. And if you're in a guiding role, like a teacher, a mentor, a parent, that drive becomes an imperative. You just have to find a way. You have to keep hoping, keep moving, because someone else is kind of relying on you to help them make sense of it all.
And it's right there in that challenging space that the unique power you hold when you choose to share your knowledge really becomes clear. It's not just about formal classrooms or set curricula.
Not at all.
Wherever you are, sharing what you know, you have this remarkable ability, this potential to make a significant positive difference in that person's life, even when the world outside feels, precarious.
And one really powerful idea we came across emphasizes where that ability starts. It starts with your authentic engagement. It suggests that whatever subject or skill you genuinely like, whatever you're truly passionate about.
Could be anything, right? Quadratic equations, guitar, history, baking, gardening.
Anything. That genuine interest, that's your greatest asset. It's your best guide. It's your superpower, really. The wellspring from which your ability to teach effectively flows.
So it's more than just being excited about, say, history.
Much more. The sources suggest it becomes the fundamental foundation that lets you connect and teach all sorts of things, not just that one narrow subject. Your genuine enthusiasm for your core interest, it creates an opening, like an emotional and intellectual doorway,
Yeah, I get that.
Through that doorway, you connect with the learner. You draw them into this broader world of knowledge and growth. Even if the specific thing you're covering right now isn't your absolute favorite topic, it's the underlying energy, the passion behind the teaching that really matters.
And that connects directly to another really crucial insight. Effective learning isn't just intellectual heavy lifting. It's not just about the brain.
Absolutely not. The sources are very clear. It has vital emotional and social components. But here's the interesting twist, the sort of flip-flop, as one piece put it. This isn't just true for the learner. It's profoundly true for you as the sharer, the teacher. If you aren't grounded in an emotional and social component of what you're doing, if you're not connecting personally with the material and connecting with the actual person you're teaching,
Then what?
why, it becomes significantly harder, maybe even impossible, really, to get your message across in a way that truly lands, that sparks real growth. It just doesn't stick the same way.
So sharing your deep love, your passion for something, it means you're fundamentally sharing you.
Exactly. You're bringing your authentic self, your enthusiasm, sure, but also your perspective, maybe your values, your experiences into that interaction. And that authenticity is absolutely key.
Learners must pick up on that, especially younger ones.
Oh, incredibly perceptive. They respond so deeply to knowing that you genuinely care, not just about the subject, but about them as individuals, and that they sense your genuine love for what you're teaching. That mix, personal care plus authentic passion, is described as opening floodgates to learning.
That makes complete sense. When that personal, emotional, authentic connection is there, the facts, the information, it just flows more easily. It becomes more memorable. It's contextualized within a relationship of trust and care.
And think about the world we're in now, where objective truth feels slippery, misinformation is everywhere, information overload is just constant. Teaching isn't just about delivering facts anymore, is it?
No, it really can't be.
It's fundamentally about equipping people to navigate that complex world safely, effectively.
So one source really highlighted this, didn't it? Teaching the power of words, how text, and that means written words, visual images, complex multimedia messages, everything how they use rhetoric, kairos. That idea of the right time, the critical moment.
In voice, yeah. Teaching how communication works, how it persuades, how it shapes perception. This isn't just some abstract academic skill for English majors.
Right. It's vital training for being informed citizens, for understanding how to stay safe online, for organizing action, for demanding a better world. Sharing that critical lens, that ability to analyze and understand communication, it empowers people.
It empowers them to engage actively and knowledgeably instead of just passively consuming whatever washes over them.
Okay, so let's bring it back to that initial difficult image. The child, the screen, the fire everywhere, the story and the source continues. The mother, the teacher, she acknowledges the fear, she nods, she understands the child's distress.
But then, instead of just staying in that fear, she gently scoops up the child. And she points out other things. People helping each other, sharing resources, even amidst the difficulty. And then, crucially, she takes the child to look at the garden they're growing together.
Right, and she says something powerful, doesn't she?
She does. She says with both honesty and hope, something like, "Yes, baby, there are fires everywhere. And someday the most beautiful plants can sprout there too. Let's learn how we can help them grow."
Wow. What a profound analogy for teaching, for sharing knowledge. It's not about pretending the difficulties, the fires, don't exist.
Not at all. It's acknowledging them, but simultaneously showing that even in the toughest, most scorched places, growth is still possible. It's about nurturing that potential, cultivating hope.
And equipping others with the skills and knowledge to help those beautiful things sprout and thrive, and crucially, for the person teaching. That act of nurturing, of helping those most beautiful plants grow amidst the difficulty, that's where a deep, resilient source of joy comes from. It's purpose found in action.
That personal perspective really captures the emotional, authentic core of sharing knowledge, doesn't it? It's infused with the challenges of the world, yes, but also with this huge potential for connection and hope, both for the learner and the sharer.
It's incredibly powerful. But, as you said, it's only one side of the coin. What about the concrete, measurable impact on the person receiving that knowledge?
Exactly. What specific, tangible changes does this act of sharing spark in them? And how does seeing that ripple effect, that positive change in someone else's life, how does that create that deep sense of joy for you, the sharer?
This is where some really extensive, quite fascinating research comes in. It gives us the other half of the picture.
Yeah, we're going to dive into findings from a large trans-European study. It was called the Bell Study Benefits of Lifelong Learning. And it looks specifically at the wider benefits of learning, going beyond just the usual economic or job stuff that formal education often tracks.
So this wasn't about mandatory job training or getting a degree because you have to.
No, this was focused on what's often called liberal adult education. Think voluntary non-work-related learning. Activities people choose to do simply out of personal interest, curiosity, or passion.
Okay, so like taking a cooking class because you love food, joining a local history group, learning Spanish for a trip, a painting workshop just for fun.
Precisely those kinds of things. And the Bell research, which used extensive surveys and in-depth qualitative interviews across several countries, found that this kind of learning, the stuff pursued voluntarily for personal reasons, it creates significant, broad, and often quite surprising positive changes in people's lives.
The scoop sounds really wide.
It really is, strikingly multifaceted. The study showed clear, measurable links between doing these kinds of voluntary learning activities and improvements across a whole spectrum of life areas. We're talking significant positive impacts on physical and mental well-being, increased civic and social engagement in their communities, bigger and more diverse social networks, a substantial boost in self-confidence and what psychologists call self-efficacy.
And even improvements in learning skills themselves and motivation for future learning.
Yes, it's like this holistic transformation starts happening.
All right, let's do a deep dive into some of those psychological benefits first. You said they're fundamental.
Yeah, the research suggests they're incredibly powerful. One key area is labeled psychological empowerment. It's kind of an umbrella term, covering several related concepts that fundamentally change how someone feels about themselves and their ability to act in the world.
Okay, like what specifically?
Well, two core benefits within that are boosts in self-confidence and self-efficacy. They're related ideas. Basically, your belief in your own ability to succeed at something specific and your overall feeling that you can influence events and reach your goals.
And they measured this somehow, not just asking, are you more confident?
Right. They use specific survey statements designed to tap into these concepts. Things like rating agreement with, I feel that I have influence over the things that happen to me, or when I make plans, I am certain that I can make them work.
Or I am confident that I could deal efficiently with unexpected events. Stuff like that.
Exactly. And these weren't just tiny shifts. The data showed learning activities significantly boost these feelings of capability, of agency.
And the qualitative stuff, the interviews back this up.
Oh, absolutely. It really brought it to life. People shared things like feeling genuinely more confident directly because of their learning. Others noted how their self-confidence would develop positively, become clearer, and grow through the process of learning itself.
So the act of learning was the confidence builder.
It seems so. It wasn't just a side effect. The very experience of engaging, struggling, succeeding, and learning something new was building this internal strength. It speaks to this tangible increase in someone's sense of agency or their perceived control over important life choices.
Think about what a fundamental shift that is. Feeling more capable, feeling more in control of your own path. That changes everything, doesn't it? How you face challenges, how you see opportunities.
Absolutely. And the research showed a significant chunk of learners reported experiencing exactly these kinds of internal changes.
Okay, what else falls under psychological empowerment?
Another profound benefit they found was a greater sense of purpose in life. And they define this quite practically. Having goals, a sense of direction, feeling life has meaning, having positive aims for the future. Not just some vague philosophical idea.
And people actually reported feeling this change.
Yes, and the qualitative responses were incredibly moving. People shared things like, I feel like I'm doing something with my life. Or simply, I have a purpose now. There was one quote from an older learner that it really sticks with you. She said, now I can say I might be 80, but I am not dead and mean it.
Goodness, that says so much, doesn't it, about how continued engagement, learning, it can just reignite that fundamental reason for being, no matter your age or situation.
It really does. It shows how learning can give structure, goals, connection, things that fight off feelings of stagnation or, feeling irrelevant. It's a deep internal shift just from engaging with something interesting.
Okay, so we have confidence, efficacy, purpose.
Yeah.
What else?
Well, closely related to both of those is a concept from psychology called locus of control. Basically, it's about where you believe control over your life resides. Is it internal, you control your destiny through your choices and actions? Or is it external things like luck, fate, powerful others are mostly in charge?
And learning affects this.
The Bell research found a clear correlation. Participating in these voluntary learning activities was linked to a shift towards a more internal locus of control, meaning learners increasingly felt like they were the primary drivers of their own outcomes. They felt more in control of their lives.
That's fascinating. Did people talk about locus of control specifically?
That's the interesting part. While the survey data clearly showed this shift, a significant number of reported feeling more in control people didn't often use that specific psychological term in the interviews. Which highlights something important, I think. Learning can create these profound internal shifts that we might not even have a name for in our everyday vocabulary. But the impact on how people feel and act is very real, and it's measurable. They just know they feel more capable, more in charge.
So learning isn't just adding information, it's fundamentally reshaping how someone sees themselves and their power in the world.
Exactly. And this internal change then ripples outward, right? Yeah. It affects how they interact with the world. Which brings us to impacts on tolerance and attitudes.
Okay, how does that connect?
The study found that participating in this kind of liberal adult education is linked to developing more tolerant behavior, a greater respect for different points of view, different cultures.
In a world struggling with division, that sounds like a crucial benefit.
It really is. The research even suggested that engaging in this type of learning might make people less likely to adopt extremist attitudes. It seems that exposure to new ideas, different perspectives, interacting with diverse groups in a learning setting, it fosters a more open, more understanding mindset.
That makes sense. Learning often pushes you outside your usual bubble, forces you to encounter different ways of thinking and being.
Right. Okay, so that's the psychological landscape. Now let's shift gears to the vital area of social connection and civic life. Because while some learning might seem like a solitary activity, the research shows it's actually a powerful catalyst for building connections.
How so? What did the Bell study find there?
Strong evidence. Benefits people explicitly mentioned included the simple but crucial act of meeting other people, becoming involved in social networks, and feeling a greater sense of community engagement.
And the interviews supported this.
Absolutely. People talked about the value of social interaction, meeting different people with shared interest, and forming new friends. This social aspect was often described as invaluable.
I can see that. If someone's feeling isolated, maybe because of retirement or moving or loss, a class or a group based on interests seems like a great low-pressure way to connect.
Exactly. It directly combats loneliness. It provides a structured, positive way to meet people who share at least one interest with you. It helps build relationships and strengthen what sociologists call social capital. It's a way to re-engage.
And beyond just personal friendships, does it connect to broader community involvement?
Yes, significantly.
Yeah.
Learning contributes to what the study calls civic competence, which means equipping people with the skills, the knowledge, the understanding they need to participate fully and effectively in civic life.
So things like being able to discuss public issues constructively, thinking critically about society, participating actively.
All of that. It's directly linked to active citizenship, feeling able to understand issues, voice your opinion, stand up and be heard, as one source put it.
Interesting. Did it affect trust?
Yes. The research noted a connection between learning and an increase in both generalized trusting people in general, and institutional trust, like trust in public institutions. There was a nuance. Sometimes trust in specific decision makers might decrease, maybe as people become more critically aware. But the overall pattern suggested learning helps build that foundation of trust that's necessary for healthy civic engagement. It builds capacity to act within and influence society.
Okay, this is a huge range of benefits already. What about well-being more generally? Personal habits, does it reach that far?
It does, yes. The research shows this kind of voluntary learning positively influences these areas too, sometimes in ways you might not immediately expect.
So beyond confidence and purpose, it directly impacts mental health.
Yes. Reported benefits included general improvements in mental well-being, feeling stronger emotionally, having better coping mechanisms for stress, and an overall increase in self-reported quality of life.
How did people describe that in their own words?
The qualitative examples really show how it works. Learning activities can provide much-needed intellectual stimulus. They can act as a healthy unwind from daily pressures. People said it brings more joy of life.
That's lovely.
And importantly, it helps people concentrate on other than mental health problems. Just having something engaging to focus on, doing anything that keeps one active through learning. It gives structure, positive challenge, a valuable distraction that supports emotional resilience.
And you mentioned physical health impacts. That seems surprising.
It does, doesn't it? But the research noted connections to improved self-reported health satisfaction, and even beneficial changes in health behaviors, like reductions in smoking or drinking alcohol.
Really? How could learning Spanish impact smoking?
Well, the study found these health benefits weren't just limited to health or sports courses. People in creative classes, craft workshops, even courses related to work skills sometimes reported positive health outcomes.
So what's the theory?
It suggests that the overall package of benefits from learning, the reduced stress, the increased social connection, the greater sense of purpose and control, the general engagement all contribute to a healthier lifestyle more broadly. When you feel better mentally and socially, maybe you're just more likely to take better care of yourself physically.
That makes sense. It's all interconnected. Okay, let's delve into something you touched on earlier.
Yeah.
The impact learning has on learning itself. That sounds a bit circular, but you said it was significant.
Hugely significant and self-reinforcing. One of the biggest benefits highlighted in the research is this fundamental change in how people view learning, and maybe even more importantly, how they view themselves as learners.
How does that manifest?
It leads to increased motivation for more learning. It improves actual learning skills, things like concentration, study habits, remembering information. It creates a much better self-image, seeing yourself as someone who can learn.
And it spreads.
Yes, it can even motivate others around them, family, friends, to study or get involved in learning. People use phrases like feeling inspired to strive to reach a higher level in their subject, or saying the experience inspires me to learn further subjects, and noticing they were now able to motivate others to study.
That's transformative. And you mentioned something called the equalizer effect.
Yes, this is really powerful. The study strongly indicated that the lower a person's initial formal educational background was, the more positive changes they tended to experience from participating in this kind of voluntary, liberal adult education.
Wow. So it benefits those who might have missed out earlier even more.
Exactly. It means voluntary learning can act as this important equalizer of well-being, opportunity, personal growth. Think about someone who had negative experiences in school, felt stupid, thought learning wasn't for them.
Yeah.
Finding a positive, engaging, voluntary learning environment later in life can literally reignite that lost spark. It helps narrow those gaps. It proves to them, hey, I am capable of learning. And that encourages them to keep going, opening doors they thought were locked forever, a low-pressure way back in.
That's incredible. Does it work differently at different ages?
The research suggests the emphasis shifts a bit. For younger adults, voluntary learning often acts as a kind of stepping stone into society, helps them figure out who they are, builds confidence, improves their sense of control as they're starting out.
And for older learners?
For older learners, it often functions more like a vital cushion, softening the impacts of age-related changes, retirement, losing friends or family, maybe skills getting rusty. It provides continued engagement, purpose, and absolutely crucial social contact.
The qualitative data must have been quite moving there.
It really was. One participant shared how the social contacts made through learning proved invaluable after her husband died. Just highlights how these learning environments can become vital support systems during tough life transitions, offering companionship, shared activity right when it's needed most.
Okay, one more category you mentioned, unexpected benefits, like work stuff, even from non-work courses.
Yes, this came up surprisingly often. People found they could use new skills learned in a hobby class, say, in their current job. Or their learning opened up totally new career options they hadn't even thought about. Or it simply made them more efficient or competent in their existing roles.
Can you give an example?
Sure, the study mentioned someone who took a wood carving course. Just for fun, right?
Yeah.
But they found the technical skills, the precision, the focus they developed were actually really useful in their professional work. A total added bonus they weren't looking for.
That's great. And you also mentioned it might make people less likely to move for a job.
Yeah, if local learning opportunities helped them find fulfilling pathways or apply skills right where they lived, it seemed to strengthen their roots in that community, making them less inclined to relocate for work.
Okay, so this is an incredibly broad and deep set of benefits. Psychological, social, health, educational, even professional. What does the research say drives all this? What makes it work?
Several key things came through. The voluntary nature is huge. People choose to be there. The focus on personal interest makes engagement natural and fun. Opportunities for social interaction are vital, as we've seen.
And the feeling of achievement.
Definitely. Experiences of self-fulfillment, reaching goals, feeling a sense of accomplishment, those are incredibly motivating and confidence building. And of course, the study also highlighted the importance of the environment itself. The teacher's expertise and personality, effective teaching methods, and positive group dynamics are all crucial factors that help create these widespread positive outcomes.
It's just abundantly clear then, sharing your knowledge, your passion, it can be this powerful, multifaceted catalyst for truly transformative benefits in the lives of learners. It touches their minds, builds resilience, connects them to others, boosts their well-being, empowers future growth.
It really does. So now let's circle back to you, the person doing the teaching, the sharing.
Right. How does knowing all that connect back to the joy?
This is where it all comes together, isn't it?
Right.
Where the personal act meets that profound impact. As we discussed earlier, the joy in teaching someone isn't just, satisfaction in a job well done. It's not just ticking off the lesson plan.
No, it feels deeper than that.
It is. It's deeply, inextricably intertwined with witnessing and facilitating the impact you have on that person's life. All those benefits we just unpacked.
So the joy comes from seeing, maybe firsthand, maybe through feedback. A learner developed that boosted self-confidence we talked about, finding that renewed sense of purpose, feeling more in control of their life.
Exactly. Knowing you directly contributed to building their internal resilience, their agency, equipping them to face challenges with more strength. Seeing someone literally stand taller or speak with more conviction or tackle something they used to avoid, that feeling for the sharer is immense joy.
And the social connection piece? The joy is in knowing you helped create a space where someone could meet new people, build those networks, feel like they belong, combating isolation.
Yes, knowing you helped enrich their social world, hearing someone talk about the friends they made in your class, or how the group helped them feel less alone after a loss, that's incredibly rewarding, isn't it? It gives your effort real meaning.
And contributing to their well-being. Knowing the intellectual stimulus you offered was a crucial unwind, or the creative outlet helped reduce stress, or just the engagement improved their quality of life, maybe even help them build healthier habits.
Seeing someone visibly more relaxed, more engaged, more vital, that brings this quiet, deep satisfaction. It confirms the value of what you shared.
And maybe the most profound joy, empowering future learning, reigniting that love for discovery, improving their skills so they can keep growing, especially for someone who thought they couldn't learn.
Oh, absolutely. Witnessing that spark catch fire again. Maybe they go on to take another course or start reading widely or just approach problems differently. Seeing that you helped unlock that potential is incredibly validating. Pure joy, really.
Yeah, and then there's that unique joy in seeing the unexpected ripples, the surprising ways learning benefits someone that neither of you saw coming.
Right. Hearing that a skill from a hobby class opened a career door, or the confidence gained made them a better parent, or the connections became a lifeline. Like that example from the Bell study. The single parent realizing her course helped her unwind and be a better mom, while her being away actually empowered her child's independence, these cascading human-level benefits.
Those are the moments, aren't they? The human stories behind the data. People saying they finally feel like they're doing something with my life, or sharing the support they found after a loss, or just expressing that deep satisfaction of reaching a personal goal through learning. Knowing you helped facilitate even a small part of that transformation, that's where the deep, sustainable joy in teaching really resides.
It really is. So bringing it full circle, back to that fire everywhere feeling. Even when you're facing that external chaos, that difficulty, maybe even personal burnout, focusing your energy on sharing what you know and love, on nurturing growth in someone else, it creates this powerful internal anchor, a sense of purpose.
It lets you cultivate those most beautiful plants right there amidst the fire. And in watching them grow, you find your own source of joy. Deep, resilient, enduring joy.
So we've journeyed today from acknowledging that challenging personal landscape through a really deep dive into the research showing these widespread, often surprising, truly transformative benefits for learners. Psychology, social life, health, learning itself.
And our deep dive today really reveals that crucial insight. The joy in teaching someone isn't mainly about your performance or how much info you crammed in. It's profoundly about witnessing, facilitating, contributing to these deep, positive, often unexpected transformations in another human being's life.
The core lesson, the key takeaway from this deep dive is that sharing your knowledge and passion,
Yeah.
it's so much more than just an educational transaction. It's really a powerful engine for human flourishing. For the learner, yes, but absolutely for the sharer, too.
It's an act that doesn't just educate, it empowers, it connects, it nurtures well-being. It helps people navigate this complicated world with more resilience.
And because of that huge ripple effect, the effort you put into sharing is intrinsically rewarded with a deep and meaningful sense of joy.
So, considering this immense ripple effect, the impact sharing knowledge has on psychological strength, social connections, well-being, future growth, here's a final thought for you to maybe sit with after this deep dive. How might you, in your own life, actively seek out or create opportunities, however small, however informal, to share what you know, what you care about, what you love?
How could you become a source of those unexpected, powerful benefits for someone else? And in doing that, maybe cultivate a deeper sense of joy and purpose in your own life, too.
Until our next deep dive.